We wouldn't normally tend to show you boats as small as this, but this is particularly interesting because while the world's builders seem to be abandoning the bottom end in search of beefier profit margins, the people's champion Bayliner is wading in and bucking the trend with this, the all-new Bayliner C21, which comes in, all in, including VAT, at less than £50,000. Now, on compact Bayliners of the past, you'd often see a kind of bulging in the mouldings above the rubbing strake to factor in the windows. But here, because this hull's been built from the ground up with this in mind, it's got hull windows built into that, slightly more elevated rubbing strake, and that enables it to look relatively sleek, and that's in spite of the elevated guardrail, the screen and the frame for our canvases there. So if we work our way round towards the back, well, as I say, it does come in at under £50,000, all in, including tax. Actually less than £48,000, but that's including a 115 on the transom, which is the smallest engine you can get with this boat. But actually, the 200 horsepower of this showboat is not the largest. You can go right up to 225 for performance in the region, they tell us, of 45 knots. Now, of course, we don't have a lot of space to play with, so the swim platforms are relatively compact, and you can't get past the engine to the other one. And obviously, if you trim it in, you could make a bit of a leap and grab hold of the tow pole. But we have a ladder here, nice soft touch decking. We step over that little lip into the cockpit itself. This is quite a useful arrangement. We'll talk about that in a second. First, let's just look at some of the other details. You lift this little hatch here, we've got the batteries in there. We've got plenty of storage in these spaces around here. I'll lift it up to show you how that operates, because it's not actually hinged. As you see, it's a loose lid with little hooks at the back and a little retaining popper at the front. There is our battery switch. Same deal over here beneath this section of seating. And as you can see, the co-pilot seat with the backrest for that swings over and down into that position, creating an entirely unbroken L-shaped section of seating right around the port side and the transom. But over here on the starboard side, we've got a little seat pod, and if I lift that, this is hinged, and it has a nice little drained cool box in there, so you can chuck your ice in, chuck your beers in, enjoy a drink underway. And the skipper's seat, to maximise use of the available space, that of course rotates to face across here, and you can of course pop a table in here and have a really decent seating section, I'd have thought, for 6 people or so. And actually, because of the seating arrangements in this boat, it's rated to carry 9 people compared to the 8 people of the Bayliner VR6, so that's very useful indeed. As for the helm, well, actually, we'll check out the co-pilot position first, because that's slightly more simplistic. Well spec though. We've got a grab rail in the ideal position, plus a bit of cushion there to use as an armrest, a couple of cup holders down below, and we also have a speaker, plus a little glove box here, rubber lined, and a little slot above that, plus a USB charging point as well. Over on the other side of that central panel that opens to give you access to the foredeck, but a helm position, though compact, is pretty well spec'd. We've got an adjustable wheel here in the centre, plus a wireless charging point for your phone and a bit more storage space there. A little space here for a modestly sized plotter, I'd say around about 9 inches probably. A decent bit of switch gear and the remotes for your stereo, plus another charging point. As for that foredeck, well, as you've no doubt noticed, this is a cuddy rather than a bow rider, so you don't get any space to really play up there, but they've done pretty well because the foredeck itself is relatively flat and it's covered in its entirety between these elevated guardrails with cushions, so you could feasibly sit 3 or 4 people up there, no problem at all, and feel relatively secure about that in gentle waters. And as for the cabin, well, with that flat foredeck and the modest length, it's not huge. It's a good traditional cuddy, but it's big enough for a couple of people. And we also get decent hull windows, as I say, right up there, decent bit of light, decent views, the hatch up there, for a bit more fresh air. I like these little angled cushions at the side. That's very comfortable when you're sleeping overnight. If you've ever slept on a compact boat, it's much more comfortable than rubbing your shoulder on cold fiberglass in the middle of the night. And of course you can fill in this section to complete the bed, make it an all-over double. But it's quite useful that we got the infills out of the way, because if we lift this little section here, you'll see there's runners there, and beneath here a proper sea toilet. Slide that into position and you've got an instant heads. Not bad at all, not luxurious, but certainly, given the length constraints at work here, a pretty good performance from Bayliner. Now, we haven't yet driven this, so we don't know how it goes. And as I say, it's not particularly big or exotic or glamorous, but I certainly thought it was worth stopping by and taking a look, given the price, and giving Bayliner a bit of recognition for giving us a modestly priced and modestly sized cuddy when the rest of the market seems to be abandoning exactly that sector. Now, if you've got a point you'd like to make about this new Bayliner C21, please do leave your comments in the section below. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button, and if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, please do subscribe to the Motorboat and Yachting channel.